going on, y'all? So look, I told y'all I was gonna put American Horror Story Hotel in with the Scandal and Empire in place of Empire for this week since Empire didn't come on, and I don't know if my video is gonna be on time next week because Wednesday I won't even see Empire until Thursday because I'll be gone Wednesday. Jan Jackson. Control. Okay, but anyway, y'all will still get them and probably just won't be on time. But anyway, American Horror Story Hotel. I am loving, I think this is episode 4. And it was called Devil's Night. I am loving this series, okay? It is so much better to me. We got a few people who don't really like it, but it is what it is. I like it, so, I don't give a shit. But just because I like something, that don't mean I can't call them bitches out. And I gotta call y'all out. American Horror Story, we are on episode number 4, and we already got a filler episode. And I mean, that shit was boring as shit. I was going to sleep. I woke back up, and I was still like, girl, what? I looked at the rerun, and I still said, nope, it gave me the same vibe. I just was not feeling it. Because Empire didn't come on yesterday. It was like throwing me all off. I was just like, I just felt so weird. Like, oh my God. Oh, pause. Because today is Thursday. And before Scandal, it's Shonda Thursday, okay? But today, Grey's Anatomy is not coming on. Because they got a little Charlie Brown Christmas, Halloween special, whatever the fuck. But, did y'all see Grey's Anatomy last week? When Callie was dating the doctor who fucked around and was one of the doctors that killed Derek? Or didn't go through the right protocols? Girl, that was a crazy episode. I was just sitting there like, oh shit. How I said this bitch ain't gonna tell him what's going on. Girl, Callie, you fucking a murderer. Now let me stop. She ain't murdered him. The fact of the matter is I can't even really be mad at her because the doctor, she was not the one who tried to, who actually was giving the instructions. The head doctor who thought he was big and bad wouldn't listen to her. So she trying to give the right things and was saying go get a CT, and he didn't catch on until later when it was too late. So I'm not going to necessarily blame her, but she was part of the team. And so that was the one that Meredith saw when she first got there and had to go through the motions with. So of course, all her anger and frustration going to be with her, on her. And now she coming to work at the hospital with them. Child, I can't wait till next week to see how this go. But anyway, back to American Horror Story. It was a boring ass show. You see, it was boring enough that I had to cut into it before I even get into the episode. It was boring because I was just like, give me somebody that's gonna die, like, or give me a crazy scene. We didn't really get a crazy scene. We got some backstory on the maid. She was in the bathroom washing this cloth, this like tablecloth or whatever. And come to find out it was a costume that her son had, the last time she seen him. She hurried up and made a costume for him as a ghost. Cut off some eyes in the bed sheet to take him trick-or-treating in 1925. And I guess it's showing her personal hell is reliving this day over, living the fact that she basically neglected her son to talk to another bitch. Like, she was just talking and fucking talking and talking. I said, girl, shut the fuck up. Say hi, go and bye. And like, you was just doing a little bit much, And it goes back to when Gaga meets John Holden's wife. And she was basically like, I was saving your kids from the parents or whatever, from neglect. And that's basically how their story is, because the maid told John, because John was in his hotel and he saw some blood coming out the wall. First of all, the walls are bleeding. Get the fuck out. All right, you good, because me as this big ass black bitch, I'm not finna stay up in no hotel. A, it had no Wi-Fi. B, where is the people at? It's too quiet up in here. C, no, the walls are bleeding. Hell no, get the fuck out of here. But all right, and she was basically just saying, it was a child murderer, like a chicken coop child murderer or some shit. And they called it that because that's what he took him. He literally took that boy, and y'all got to be careful because that's how these kids get caught up. These people, y'all, turn y'all backs, and y'all got to teach these kids not to talk to strangers and all this shit, and take candy from it and all that stuff, because that boy was just sitting there, he just looking, and he was like, hi, how you doing? You wanted this and you wanted that? And I said, girl, This man is talking to your son while you over here yapping to this woman. Turn the fuck around and get your child. And by the time she turned around, the child is literally being driven off. Okay? And when they finally got him, they found some of the kids alive, and then the other ones were dead, and her son was one of the ones that was dead, and the only thing that was left of him was the little costume that he had, and they gave it to her. And I said, what type of shit? I don't want this. I don't want no record, a souvenir of my son's death. No, you keep that shit. But basically they don't know how he killed the boy, but he killed the boy. And she was telling John Holden that, you know, we got this kindred spirit. Like, we got this connection because he went through somewhat of the same thing. His son, he put him on the merry-go-round. He turned around to go take a call. Neglect, okay? And he wasn't paying attention and somebody took him. Bitch, Gaga was standing there that whole time. We ain't see that bitch in black. You are at a fucking festival, okay? At a carnival. Dressed like you finna go to somebody's funeral. I said, girl, keep an eye on your kids. And speaking of Holden, child, how did the wife take Holden out of the last week we seen that she came across Holden. How did the wife take him out of the damn hotel to his house, to her house, like nothing happened? I said, so you just easily, I thought he was dead or some shit. And I forget, like, he, you know, just about everybody up in that hotel is dead. They like spirits or whatever. And, girl, shut up. Spirits of vampires, okay? And he was like, she checking him out, you know, see his temperature is 75.5, and he just sitting there, and then she was like, girl, mommy, I'm thirsty, and then she was like, okay, boo-boo, I'm finna go get you something to drink. You want some orange juice or some apple juice? Which one you want? He was basically like, bitch, I really don't care. Girl, I said, he finna take the mama out, okay? He is finna suck her dry. No, he sucked somebody dry. But it wasn't the mama. She come back up in there. He feasting on the damn dog and then gonna say something, I don't feel good. I want to go to my mama. It was like, girl, I'm your mama. No, I'm talking about my other mama. So she take her back to the hotel like, bitch, fix him. And she see the little coffin and shit, the hyperbaric chambers and all that stuff. And Gaga popped up and was like, I know you got some questions, so let me go answer them. You know, Holden can't go back to the way that he used to be because he got this rare ancient blood disease, you know. And if you take it and if you abide by the rules, you can be immortal and you can be with your son forever and ever and ever. And so old girl pulled out a gun at first, and then Tristan ass came in and knocked her ass out, but then she eventually gonna suck Gaga blood and turn into a vampire just like her. And I was just sitting here like, so your husband is trying to combat all this bullshit and you gonna turn right into one just to stay with your son. Okay, but then I hope you go home and you apologize to Miss Scarlett, because she was telling the truth the whole time and you just read her the piece talking about, bitch, stop playing. You doing this shit to hurt me. No, that girl was telling the truth. Okay, apologize. And she gonna be in the next week episode with that little boy who was sick. Now I want to know what she gonna do. Is she gonna try to feed him some blood or whatever? I don't know, cause he getting worse by the minute, and she just looked dead already. So James get invited to Devil's Night, and Devil's Night is by James Patrick March, the owner of the hotel, and he invites all these people, like famous serial killers, because when the episode first come on, we see Richard Ramirez. I think he was the Night Stalker or some shit like that. He killed people in night or whatever. And, you know, I know these people. The fact that I knew who the fuck these people were and what they did, that says a lot. No, that's because I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff like that. You know, I just like, you know my surroundings. And back in the day, a lot of the serial killers used to come from either the West Coast in California. It was a lot over there. And a whole bunch of them was from the Midwest, okay? We had Bundy, we had John Wayne Gacy was out here in Chicago, you know. He was sitting there at that table. Had like over 30-some people, little boy bodies underneath his house, you know, that he raped and sodomized and tortured and then killed, you know. they had the Zodiac killer, you know, and they had him come up in there with this hood like you don't know, because we don't know who it is. Till this day, no one knows exactly who the Zodiac killer is. And we had Irene. Is it Irene or Merlene? The girl that the movie Monster was based off of, the prostitute killer. She was a prostitute killing her Johns and stuff like that. And they doing all this stuff, and like I said, we had Jeffrey Dahmer. They all reminiscing about how James March gave them the secrets to how to be a successful serial killer and where they went wrong at, and giving him treats. You know, gave Jeffrey Dahmer a little boy to play with and drill his head off and feed some acid, and you know, Sally brought a little innocent guy up in there so that they can kill him. When Ramirez first came to the hotel, he had a couple up in the bed that he was playing with, killed the husband, and then later on killed the wife and all that shit. I was just like, so why are you showing him this and telling him all this? So is he about to become a serial killer, or is he already a serial killer? You know, like, is the police officer the 10 Commandment killer? Is that what we leading to? You know, because that's gonna be the little twist or whatever. Who y'all think the 10 Commandment killer is? But I was just like, all right, where's Angela fucking Bassett at? That's all I was wondering. Where's Angela Bassett ass at? Was there anything else worth talking about? Yeah, you know, Marlene, the prostitute chick, she had, when she first met James, they were sitting at the bar and he was talking about how he really wasn't an alcoholic, and at one point in time he started drinking, and that's when old girl came in. He was really trying to figure out if was this bitch real or not, and then he was gonna fuck her ass, and you know, she giving her story about how and why she killed the people and all this stuff, and she was like, girl, let me just tell you this. He was finna fuck her. And then the bald-headed dude that was behind the counter was like, you drunk because you don't see how ugly this bitch is. He was like, I truly don't give a fuck. And then they go up to the room and she got him handcuffed and was about to whoop his ass because she didn't realize that he really wasn't there to fuck with her, you know, because he was a cop. And it was just crazy. I was just like, so what is the point of this episode? All right, we ain't really need all this. I mean, I like how they throw history up in there, and most of this stuff is true. Like the serial killers that they had, that was true, but I just really wasn't. I really wasn't feeling it. I wasn't. It was boring. Did I miss anything important? If I don't even remember it, it is what it is. I hope next week be better because Angela Bassett is coming back. I just want to see what Angela Bassett got in store for the Countess, all right? And I want to see how she gonna have, like, the Countess gonna have a downfall. And I'm pretty sure Tristan gonna be part of that shit because that little motherfucker, he gotta go. Dandy fucking up shit. I can see that in the future. Who do y'all think the 10 Commandment killer is? Do you think it's gonna wind up being the cop? Is he like going crazy or whatever? Or is it gonna be his wife? You know, who y'all think it is? But that was American Horror Story. And if I missed any other scenes, because obviously really wasn't important to me, put it down in the comments and we will discuss. Oh, Scandal was good tonight. I'm gonna actually give a clap. I quite thoroughly enjoyed it, especially at the end. I was like, oh, I wasn't saying that. It was some reads up in this episode, and I was, you know what? Pause. Go back a little bit. Season 1, Season 2, probably part of Season 3. Did the kid get killed in Season 3? Yeah, I think the child got killed in Season 3, and then Season 4, she was trying to recuperate. I really wasn't here for Millie. We was all like, fuck Millie, okay? That bitch, you know, she doing too much and all this shit. And, you know, she ain't really here for Fitz. She ain't trying to be here for him. She don't really love him. It was all just a political, you know, cover. And she want to advance her way to the top and shit. So this ain't no marriage out of love. So I don't give a fuck if Fitz cheat on her ass. It ain't no real marriage. Now I'm like, you know what? Fuck Olivia. Like, it really, not necessarily fuck her, but fuck her in this instant because Olivia is fucking up. Olivia is fucking the fuck up, okay, with this whole thing. And she realized that she was fucking up, okay? I'm sitting here like, once again on this episode, she was willing to sacrifice herself for this man who was not going to put any sacrifice for her. Like, no real sacrifice. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, come on now. You got to stop this shit. But I was so fucking here for Millie in this episode. Bitch, I knew the episode was gonna be good. Hold on. Let me get myself together. I do, because I don't care what nobody say. I love Sally. Sally Langston is everything. I knew it was going to be good when she popped up and she was like, well, hey, today's the day of the impeachment hearings for President Fitzgerald. She was all smiles and happy. I said, girl, you are enjoying this shit, and I am enjoying it too. Millie is on trial, right? They doing the impeachment hearing. Millie is at the stand. They asking her, girl, did you know about Fitz and Olivia fucking around? She said no. And I said, girl, before the time that she just put out there, you know, recently that everybody in the world found out that they really had this relationship going. Millie lied on the stand. And I said, no, girl, because you're going to fuck it up. You don't know how to do this professionally, okay? Yeah, you do it behind closed doors, but you don't know how to do it in public in front of people. You know, people that ain't in your circle. Don't do it, girl. And she did. And I said, why you do that? Because sure enough, remember back in like the first time they tried to say that Olivia and Fitz was fucking around, and then it was this girl, I can't remember her name, but they was gonna pin it on her and make it seem like she had an affair with him and pay her off. Bitch, they had all that evidence. They had the testimony. They had the transaction and all this shit. Presented it to Millie. And I said, damn, bitch. Now, Millie's scared that she basically finna be out of a job because she lied on stand. That's perjury, you know. And all of this shit was to protect fucking Fitz. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, okay. So Cyrus ass, I ain't even finna go blow by blow because everything wasn't important, but Cyrus ass comes up with this idea because, you know, the next person to testify against Fitz or to get on the stand and will have to tell the truth unless she wants some consequences to happen because it's too much evidence for them to lie is Olivia. Bitch, you got to get up there and tell the truth. And Cyrus was like, y'all need to get married because once you get married, you can't testify against you don't have to testify against your spouse. And, you know, Olivia like, what this gonna look like? You finna get this quickie divorce and then I'm all of a sudden get married to you. That ain't right. No. And Olivia calling Jake, trying to get his thoughts. Bitch, Jake hung up that phone like, girl, this is not my problem no more. She called him again when she decided to go through with it. And then he was like, girl, okay, and click. And I was like, quit calling him. Jake is over your bullshit. That's when Jake realized that something wasn't right with his ex-wife / new wife / still wife. You know, the spy girl, Elisa. He was like, you went up to the prison to visit Daddy Pope. Why was you up there? You working with him? What the fuck is going on, bitch? Because at the prison, she was working with him. So we thought, you know, we sitting here thinking that, I said, bitch, you fucking around with Pope. I should have fucking known. But then come to find out, she was supposed to be helping him escape. He was going to escape. He going to the guard or whatever. And then they was like, bitch, we going to get you out of here through the laundry and all this shit. And then the guard attacked him. And then, you know, Pope, of course, superhuman strength, his old ass whooped the guard's ass and killed him and was like, bitch, the laundry and all that shit had went out 2 hours ago. So basically, when Jake confronted Alicia with this stuff, she was like, I'm not working for him, but I'm working with the people that's trying to kill that nigga. We need to kill him. He got to go. She set him up. And I was like, oh, okay. And so at the very end of this, Pope, no, let me just get him out the way. He up in the bed in the hospital because he got hurt. Okay, and, you know, he called Olivia. Olivia, I need your help. Click. I said, woo, y'all just don't give a fuck these days, okay? I said, ma'am, sir, how you gonna call your sister, your daughter, the one that you literally tried to have killed, okay? You basically put out a hit order on her, like, bitch, you do this, I'm just gonna fuck around and let all the defense. No defense, bitch. You just opened target season for your ass. Talking about she put you in jail and then you gonna call and talk about I need your help. Girl, she hung up on him. next thing you know, who did she call? He called somebody else. Quinn. Because then Quinn go up there and was like, bitch, I'm not finna help you. So whatever it is, fuck you, bitch, whatever. And I said, you could have said that over the phone. But basically, she delivered the message back to Olivia and told her that, you know, he in the hospital. Olivia eventually do go there. And I guess because whatever he said to Quinn, Quinn related back to Olivia. And it was a solution because they all trying to figure out, how can we get over this problem so that I won't have to testify against my boo-boo and, you know, fuck everything up, you know, and get him a peach. And, you know, she go up there. He basically said, get me out of here and I'll make that whole committee go away because they still B613 and all that shit. Most of them people that's on that committee, they B613 or they know about it and all this shit. And I was like, don't do it, Olivia. Don't drink that Kool-Aid, okay? Because he was like, you do this favor for me, I do this favor for you. And I said, you should learn. You should have already known and know how your daddy is. Once you do a favor for him, it ain't just it. Just because he do that favor for you, that don't mean nothing. It's still gonna go on and he gonna go right back to being the same fucked up person that he is that we all love to hate. But we need on this show right about now. And sure enough, she gonna go to Millie and trying to get her to get him out. She was like, bitch, I know who this is. She's still thinking it's the dude, the dude that he fake gave her. You know, he disguised himself as this billionaire, and he the one that had got, you know, them jurors shot up, but he was going by another name. Olivia was like, nah, girl, this is Eli Pope. That's my daddy. That's your daddy. Bitch. Hell no. And see, the apple don't fall too far from the fucking tree. Fuck y'all bitches. This motherfucker is a murderer. He this, he that. And you want me to let him out? Girl, shit, get the hell out of my face. And then Olivia was looking like, okay. Let me just tell you this before you go. Because she was like, girl, you won. I ain't got shit, okay? I'm down here at the bottom. Literally, I was at the top. Now I'm at the goddamn bottom, okay? You finna go back upstairs and sleep in the bed that I used to sleep in and all this shit. What the fuck else do you want from me? She was like, you know, he killed your son. And I said, Olivia, why you had to tell her that? I ain't get it. I ain't get it for a second. I'm just like, girl, okay. So now this is going to force them to get married, quote unquote. And Olivia, at first she was against it. You know, she didn't want that quickie marriage thing. She couldn't come up with a different solution or whatever. They was interrogating everybody, asking the whole Gladiator crew, you know, questions on the stand. And I do not recall, I don't know, girl, why they put Huck up there? Every time Huck open up his mouth, you just know he lying. Okay, he just sound like he lying, even if he telling the truth. Okay, but they do all that, and Fitz had this little proposal with the flowers and all this stuff, trying to give her the Bessie Ross ring, and she was like, girl, I don't want this. I don't want this. He was like, so what else do you want? You ain't never gonna want this. That's what it is. You think I really want this too? I don't want to do no quickie shit like this, but the fact of the matter is, you ain't never gonna want this. That's what it is. Fuck you, bitch. Olivia said, girl, I ain't got time for this. Let me walk out of here. And I said, Fitz, this is a spoiled ass brat. Okay, you can tell that he has gotten everything handed to him, and if he don't have it his way, he throws a tantrum. And he was throwing a tantrum throughout this whole episode until Millie checked the fuck out of him. They was going over the divorce, right? Oh, you can get the house in Santa Barbara. We'll split everything 50-50. She was like, girl, you can't get the baby, not just yet. But you can get the girl in the fall and you know, winter, and I'll get her in the spring or something. Fine, okay. And then she was about to say something else, and he was like, what else do you want? Mind you, she know about her son being killed, okay, by Daddy Pope. So she just like, fuck it off. And I was like, I want her to blast him. I really do. But he said under his breath when she was about to leave, because she did something, he was like, what else do you want, Melly? I mean, you done took everything else. And then wouldn't even repeat what he said. I said, don't say it underneath your breath so she can hear. And when she say, what did you say? I want to hear that clearly, not say it. Are you bold enough to mumble in your breath, but you ain't bold enough to say it out loud? Because you knew Millie was going to read your ass. And she read the fuck out of him. She was like, oh, I take it all? He was like, bitch, you selfish, you this, you that. She was like, me? No, everything is you. All this shit is you. I got married to you because of you. I stayed in a lifeless, loveless, bullshit-ass marriage for 20-some years because of you. I wouldn't have had kids if it wasn't for you. My son wouldn't be dead if it wasn't for you. Them jurors wouldn't be dead if it wasn't for you, because he once again tried to throw all that shit on her. He keep on blaming her for something that she didn't know that was going to happen. And she only did that deal so that he can stay in office, so all that shit wouldn't get found out about him. Everything that Millie been doing, yeah, on the flip side, it's been for her too, trying to get up there to the top two, to get into the senator seat, but also to cover up his tracks and to keep him in office. And, she was just like, bitch, everything that's been going on, you're the common denominator. Everybody's doing all this shit for your ass, okay? And then was like, bitch, you ain't shit. You're mediocre as fuck. And I was like, you better go off, Millie, because let's remind everybody that Fitz, you couldn't even get the presidency both times you ran on your own. The first time in Defiance, they had to rig the fuck out of that, and you got sympathy votes for the second term because your child died. And Daddy Pope pulled that off for your ass, okay? Because you were not going to win that. And then we get to, what is it? Susan, the vice president, she go up in there today talking about some girl. I did not sign up for this bullshit. I don't want to be president if he get impeached. Like, I want to resign. And then Sally was like, here comes Sally Langston. She was like, good luck to Susan, girl, because you about to be the first. You about to be the second female president of the United States. Cause remember, I was the first. And I said, you know what? Throw it out there, Sally. Okay? But, that happened. We thought Olivia was going to get married to Fitz. And at one point, she kind of did, because they was trying to say, girl, you need to pick out your new staff and this, and you got to give out your cell phone and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here so like, really, Olivia? You gave up all this to protect this man. What has this man given up to protect you? Not a damn thing. So you forfeit and you give up your whole life to be his wife, to stay in office for a couple of more years, or a year or two, or a year and a half? Really? That's a lopsided ass relationship. I'm not feeling it. And I said, what about your business? What about Olivia Pope and Associates? What's going to happen to that? That's just going to go away? And then at the end, when she got called to testify, she was just like, girl, fuck all this. Fuck all this. I can't do it. Abby came up in there and gave him that ring back. And he was looking like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's what you get, nigga. Okay? And then she come downstairs and she walking with a purpose. She got back her Olivia Pope and Associate Gladiator charge. And I said, okay, shit about to get done. Because all of a sudden, when they was calling her up to testify, she didn't show up. And they was handing out these envelopes. And in the envelopes, there was pictures of bombs going off and dead bodies and shit like that, assassinations attempts and all this shit. I said, oh, all the secrets of the B613 shit coming out. And they hurried up and put that shit back in there so couldn't nobody see. And I said, oh shit, what the fuck is happening? Millie, meet her in the garage downstairs and was like, oh yeah, so you changed your mind. She was like, girl, I tried to come at you and I thought you was the devil, but bitch, you is a savior right about now, okay? You giving me a second chance on life. You my everything right about now. And who popped up? Daddy fucking Pope. I said, Lord, and the bodyguard dude, the Secret Service dude that was working with Pope. I said, got both of their asses out of jail, and Jake is over. Because Jake went to the train station to go get his boo. That bitch was dead. I said, Pope then got out of jail and killed her ass. I said, ain't that some shit? And it's gonna be one. Because Jake is over it. That Pope is out. I can't wait till next week. But Scandal, it actually was a good episode tonight. And I was very much into it. How to Get Away with Murder. Child. Okay. We start off with a flash forward 2 weeks early. The present. Seeing Jadina rushing in the hospital, trying to see what's going on with Annalise. Is she gonna be okay? What's this? What's that? Girl, we gotta get her to surgery. You asking too many questions. You need to stand back. So he go back to the car, and his whole demeanor changed. You went from panic mode. Now that nigga is a psycho. Okay, he's a sociopath. Something ain't all the way right. Because the way he switched off them emotions so quick, like he was really so concerned. Oh my God, is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna be okay? And when he got outside, he was just like, I'm just gonna go to the store and get something to eat. That's how he was. Gonna get a soda. Ugh, I hate that word. A pop, bitch. You know, something like that. She get in the car, turn around, and this little Catherine in the backseat. I said, what? Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on? And I feel like this is all a setup to make it seem as if, because remember, Caleb was in the safe house. Well, whoever place that was, he was planted there. You know, now Catherine is in the house, so basically no blame can be put on them about what happened to the prosecutor and what happened to Annalise. That's what it feel like. You know, because they always trying to double up and clean up their tracks and stuff like that. And at one point, you know, we get to this other scene where Laura and Frank, they fucking around, and he goes in the bathroom or whatever the fuck, and she looking in his pockets and trying to see, you know, what it is that he know about Rebecca, because even though she told Wes last week to leave it the fuck alone, the reason why we going crazy is because of you. Now she's still kind of in the back of her mind is like, damn, he didn't get into her senses and all this stuff. So fuck it, I'm finna see. I want to know what the hell is going on with Rebecca, okay? Because I'm tired of him talking about it. Now it's in my mind. I need to see. They in class, you know, and it's a case that she's talking about. She calls Asher. Asher has this flashback to, you know, they had this little connection, okay? They communicating with their eyes and stuff. And basically flashback to when Annalise showed him the video of supposedly Bonnie getting molested by her father and all this stuff, and trying to say, now you see the reason why she reacted the way she reacted, okay, when Sam came at her. And he was like, he asked the question we all wanted to know. Bitch, why the fuck you still got this tape? She was like, basically, don't worry about that. I said, why you still got this shit, bitch? Who you finna blackmail with it? Is it really Bonnie? Okay? And he was basically like, I mean, I can't not, you know, testify. She was like, yes, you can. You don't have to testify, and I'll take care of it. So basically, the way that she takes care of this is so fucked up. Because he knows that his dad has a deal with the DA. She wants Sinclair to get off her motherfucking back. She goes and talks to Sinclair like, bitch, you need to stop, okay? I'm here as a representation of my client, Asher, and he said he ain't testifying for you, okay? You want to do all this shit. You want to try to get me. Let it the fuck go, okay? I understand you're a little rookie in the game, and you trying to get a big fish like me. That'll give you some little status, but it ain't finna fucking happen, okay? You need to stop playing these childish-ass games. And Elise was trying to put that foot down, and I said, girl, okay. So, they going over this case, right? Bonnie, you know, she feeling the type of way. And at this point in time, she feeling the way because, you know, she's still in her feelings about what happened. Ashley didn't believe me. And Annalise like, girl, see, you worry too damn much. Even when you did right, you can't see that you did right. You worry too fucking much. Leave it alone. I'm taking care of it. It's all to the fucking good. Okay? Don't even worry about it. Frank is tired of them talking about what's going on with Rebecca and the kids snooping around and all this stuff. And, you know, it is what it is. Okay? So they having this little meeting at the house. And while they in the process of meeting and all this stuff, and Annalise do finds out, well, I don't know if it was during the meeting or whatever the fuck, they was talking about the case. And Annalise do find out that Nate's wife died. And she goes over there trying to bring a peach cobbler and all that stuff. He wasn't trying to open up the door. Wes had called Nate trying to tell him, you know, Annalise, she knows some stuff. There's some stuff going on. Girl, Nate said, bitch, I don't care. Okay, I'm just done. I don't care about this. Don't call me about this no more. I'm over it. You know, his wife just died. He just don't want to hear nothing. Then at the end, you know, their last little scene, she comes back over and he was like, he admits that he gave her the pills. He gave his wife the pills, and he was like, she was like, you don't have to hate me. You can hate me all you want and all this stuff. He was like, bitch, I don't hate you. I just don't care because it was your fault. You was like, you took me away from my wife when she was in her time of need, when you knew she was dying, and you had me locked up in that in jail, setting me up for all this bullshit, playing your fuck ass games, and you knew what my heart was and all this stuff, and you had me locked up. And I said, wait a minute, Mr. Nathaniel, bring that shit back, because you can't put that all on Annalise. Annalise was fucked up for what she did, and truth be told, I thought your wife was already dead. No lie, I thought she was already dead when y'all was fucking around. Okay, I did not know that y'all was fucking around until a few episodes ago while she was still alive. Alright, but what about the times that you was fucking with Annalise while your wife was still alive? That was your decision. You could have been spending that time you was fucking this bitch and all up in her face and doing stuff and spending time with her, with your wife. So you can't put it all on her like that. Yeah, we ain't denying the fact that Annalise is a fucked up bitch. Bitch, when How to Get Away with Murder goes off, I want to know who gonna get Annalise. Who gonna be the one to bring that bitch down? Because you know that's how the series finale has to end. It has to end with somebody bringing Annalise down, okay? Because it's gonna happen. The bad bitch is gonna get tripped up. But anyway, they take on another case, and they're talking about, I think, the twins, the brothers, the sibling case or whatever. And so, you know, Asher is back in the fold, and they trying to talk about, you know, he trying to tell them it was a lot of stuff going on, don't worry about it and all this stuff. And before the brother and sister comes over, or was it before the brother and sister comes over or whatever? Yeah, it was before. They get a case. Because Annalise was trying to talk to them, trying to get some more information. They trying to set the case up. They, you know, doing their research and all this stuff. And Bonnie comes over and was like, girl, you got a telephone call. It is urgent. Come on, it's emergency. Because at first, Annalise was like, bitch, tell that bitch I'll call her back. It was a friend of hers. She gets on the phone and she was like, girl, Steven came at me, and I had to kill that motherfucker. He laying down in the pool of blood. I said, God damn, Sam all over again. So Annalise go over there. She talking to her on the phone. What happened? How long was he doing this? Has he ever put his hands on you? Was he drunk? Was he this? Was he that? And all this shit. She was like, girl, yeah, we used to argue all the time. He used to get mad. He came in late. He drinking and all this stuff, and it was abusive. And it was like, girl, is it a standard struggle? Do you got bruises on you? Okay, hang up and call the cops. Now, in my mind, I was like, girl, you should have called the cops first, then called your lawyer. But because they was going to use that time against you, and plus you on the cell phone, that's what it seemed like. And you can pull up, you know, phone records from anything. And sure enough, when Annalise get there, she noticed how the outlay of the house looked. And she was like, girl, so you did this after he whooped your ass or after you killed him. She was like, girl, I was trying to set it up like you said. And then, you know, the detective came over with a picture. And he was just being so rude and out of line. He was like, bitch, you killed your husband because he found out what the fuck you were. Ain't that right? You lying piece of shit. That's basically what he said. And I was like, what is all this hate? I said, wait a minute. She's a transgender. Oh. And she said, bitch, get the fuck out of here because he already fucking knew. I said, you better tell him. So they in jail, well, doing this stuff, and they trying to come up with this self-defense. She talking to the DA dude, the prosecutor dude, and, you know, she was trying to get at him with the drop the case because you don't want it to come out that your police officer was transphobic and, you know, all this other shit that's going on. And then he was like, girl, yeah, I could do that, but you know what? She called you. And she was like, so what? Ain't nothing wrong with a client calling their lawyer before they call the cops. Yeah, but y'all was on the phone for a minute and 42 seconds. I said, oops. And then so they had to go back to the drawing board. So basically, in this case, the girl, she's another teacher. That's how they cool. And she went and got one of her students who came to the door trying to testify and be a witness, saying that on one of these occasions I seen, you know, they was walking to the car and Steven was whooping the fuck out of her ass and all this shit. And Elise came up there to her like, bitch, how the fuck you gonna get a student to lie for you to make an alibi, to make it seem like this shit been going on? She was like, girl, you know, what would they say if I get put to prison? They gonna put me in a men's prison and all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. You can't be mad at me because of this shit. She was like, girl, I ain't mad at you. I'm mad that I ain't think this shit up myself. I said, look at these conniving ass bitches. I said, be friends with Annalise and you will turn into a goddamn killer, okay? But indirectly and directly, bitch. And so they used that defense. Mind you, Asher came up to Annalise, or was talking to Bonnie, trying to see if everything was okay and trying to see what Annalise was going to do to help him out of this situation had she got started, because you know he worried about his daddy. He keep on avoiding the call and all this stuff, because remember, his deal was linked in with the daddy's deal, okay? And Asher was worried because the Sinclair bitch, she would not stop. She leaked. He said it's a reporter that called his phone talking about the Tiffany girl. And she was like, I thought you said you was going to take care of this. So, next thing we know, she goes to the prosecutor and was like, I'm finna give you something that you can get 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay? Drop this case and I'll give you Millhouse, the daddy, who's this judge full of fucking corruption. And then I will, you know, the testimony about the what's really going on. And it was like, so you want me to do 2 favors? She was like, girl, yeah, you can make a career off of this, and you can get, you know, voted to the head DA for, you know, on, you know, trying to weed out corruption in the police department and all this shit. So of course they released old girl on self-defense, and she put it out there, damn bitch, I wish I would have killed him sooner. They up there commiserating and all this stuff, having a kumbaya session like, girl, yeah, both our husbands wasn't shit. I said, yeah, come on now. They could be filming this and recording this. Because, mind you, back at the house, they had Caleb and Catherine over there, and they talking about the case, and they trying to see whether or not they really did it. Mind you, they done left out the room. Okay, they trying to find a different suspect other than the aunt. Okay, who else has something? They brought up the adoptive parents. Michaela can't get her feelings out of everything because she's adopted. She got to put her emotions and feelings in every damn thing. So she like, because I was adopted, I'm not here for that. But I mean, that ain't why I'm not here for it. But I'm just not here for that, okay? Why would they have a reason? You know, maybe they was like, girl, maybe they found out how much they worth and all this stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. Then they started talking about whether or not they was guilty. Caleb and Catherine gone out the room, and they basically saying they kind of guilty. Michaela put it out there that she feel like Caleb guilty and all this shit, because why won't he say that he's not and all this stuff? And Laura finds out and look at the computer, and was like, oh my God, this bitch been recording us. What is the password so I can cut it off? She was like, bitch, the password is 1311. And that's what I had to do. After all this shit that was going on, you know what? I said, let me record these bitches to see what the fuck it is that y'all feel about me. Okay, and fuck y'all. I said, Miss Catherine, smart. That little sneaky bitch she's a silent killer. Okay? Not killing for real, but she's silent. She came up in there steady with the kill, and y'all didn't even see that shit coming. Annalise came up in that house and said, how the fuck you gonna let a client overhear you talking shit about them? Didn't I teach y'all anything? Y'all garbage. Should fire your asses. I said, oops, y'all done got this bitch pissed. Okay? So she got a smooth shit over with them. And they found out that the aunt has a son. Okay? The aunt has a son. And she was funneling money through a charity to get to him. They told them to leave it alone. Okay? Oliver, on the other hand, he done found and hacked into the son, hacked into his computer and been watching him. Little do he know why he telling all this information to Connor. The son is sitting there. He done hacked them back and looking at them. I said, oh my God, what the hell? You know, then this whole shit with Frank, they was just over it. Laura was like, okay, I'm so tired of listening to this shit. Let's just go talk to Frank about this. They go confront Frank. Frank basically said the money was there for some other reason. No, the money was there. He knew that the money was there. He knew that it was there because it was for Rebecca, so that she won't tell about them locking her up and tying her up in the chair. But she never showed up to get it. So it's her fucking loss. So he flipped that whole situation to make it seem like he ain't had shit to do with Rebecca. But at the end, we see that he really did. And Bruno, he had Bruno store the body somewhere else. And he had the body. Put it in his trunk. So I'm thinking at the very end of the episode that you know, he placing his body trying to make it look like somebody is there. I'm thinking it's Rebecca out there in the wood. Girl, nah, it was Catherine. That bitch was out there, and they woke up in the next day. Here come the police department with the dogs. She about to call in a body, and then Miss Catherine just pops up like, oh shit, what the fuck am I? I said, you know what? I don't have time. I don't have time. I said, bruh, what the hell? Then we get this little scene with Annalise talking to Wes and then trying to call him out about, you know, the reason why you don't trust me is because your mama, I'm not going to leave like she did. She committed suicide. She, you know, neglected you. He was like, this ain't about my mama and how you know. And at first I said, bitch, did she just say that his mama? And I had to rewind. I said, okay, no, that's not what you said. But I was just sitting here like, and I think we all sitting here like, what is this weird connection? Like, what is the real deal and the real attachment? Why is this attachment so strong for Annalise to Wes? Like, you didn't even want him in the class when he first came first season, but instantly you got attached to him. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. But, that's what that happened. Asher meet up with his daddy because the daddy thinks that Asher snitched on him to the prosecutor and made a deal for himself and ratted his father out because he's getting investigated. He's getting investigated for corruption, which he realized which really wasn't Asher's fault. Well, it kind of was because you left it to Annalise to fix this shit, and you should have known Annalise was going to find some way to fix shit. So Annalise is the one that ratted him out, not to Sinclair, but to the black dude, the prosecutor dude. And Sinclair finally talking about, you know, Asher daddy was like, bitch, fuck you, I'm over you, we over and done with, have a nice life. I said, harsh, rude. But after that, we see Sinclair talking about something to Bonnie. Girl, I'm finna go. Fuck y'all. I don't give a shit about y'all no more. It's over and done with. But hey, let me tell you something. Look into this file. And you know that boy that you can protect him so much, Asher, your little boy toy, why don't you look in the file and see what he did to that Tiffany girl? Bonnie was like, girl, I don't have time. It is what it is. You lost. Move on. He was like, you want to know. You need to know. And then she was like, girl, I ain't got time. She just kept on walking. And then she hollered out. She was gang raped. And I said, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Y'all know Bonnie she got problems with men already. But that was How to Get Away Murder. If I missed some stuff, put it down in the comments. Next week gonna be good. Jean Grey is back. Yes, come on, fish. But, we get 2 more episodes. This episode, next week episode, and I think the week after that, that's when we're going to find out who shot Annalise. So, child, I can't wait. But I'll see y'all later. Y'all tell me how y'all feel. We're going to discuss in the comments, and we're going to, you know, discuss some predictions and shit. Who do y'all think shot Annalise? Literally, everybody in this goddamn cast has a reason to shoot this bitch. I ain't never seen something where everybody has a reason to kill a bitch. But who do y'all think shot her? Ciao. I'll see y'all later. Peace.